We're bringing awareness to the Move Over Law. The Move Over Law is very important. What the Move Over Law brings is awareness to those that with emergency vehicles and also motorists that have maybe emergency lights on the side of the road to encourage motorists to move over and adhere to the law and make sure that everyone is safe on our roadways.
We've lost firemen, we've lost policemen, we've lost citizens for people that didn't move over. You know, Sterlington Police Chief Bonner has a compelling story of losing an officer. One was killed, two was injured. 30% of his whole department was lost that day in two vehicles because somebody didn't move over. We had a fire chief in St. John the Parish recently who was hit at a crash scene while his fire truck was protecting our trooper. And the last thing he said to the trooper was, "I'm going to stay here and protect you." So it is a problem. We had a trooper hit on I-55 in the last couple of months. So certainly we want people to be aware, we want people to be mindful of people on the shoulder, and just move over when you can.
Safety is why we're here today. We would like to bring awareness to the Move Over Law, which is in place to save lives and prevent injuries to those working on our roadways. Whether the lights are blue, red, or amber, they're all important, and it's imperative that we recognize the Move Over Law. As you can see from the group of first responders that join me to my left and right today, the Move Over Law impacts many agencies. These three speakers that you will hear from today are very familiar with the importance of this law. To lead us all today, we will have Major Doug Kane, who is here on behalf of Colonel Mike Edmondson with the Louisiana State Police.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here today. It's a very important event. I want to thank all of my public safety partners that stand up here with me. Certainly the governor, his leadership and support is unbelievable, and we appreciate it. And you're going to hear some personal stories today, one very compelling from Chief Bonner. When I think of the Move Over Law, I don't have to think too far back. I think of a trooper who was called to a crash scene on I-10 involving a one-vehicle crash. As he arrived, the fire department was already on scene protecting the scene. The trooper got there, started working the crash, and he turned to the chief, Chief Chauvin from St. John. He said, "Chief, I got this. Are y'all going to stay here?" Chief turned to the trooper and said, "We're going to stay here. I want to make sure you're safe." Just a few minutes later, that trooper watched a bus careen through that scene, killing Chief Chauvin from St. John. So certainly we could sit here and we could talk about the enforcement which state police and the other law enforcement are going to do. We could talk about the fines and penalties for people that don't adhere to the Move Over Law. But what I think we need to talk about is it's just the right thing to do. So whether it's a DOTD highway worker, a first responder, or whether it's your neighbor on the side of the road with a flat tire or a broken down car, remember Chief Chauvin. I want to take care of you. Slow down and move over. Thank you.
Thank you, Major Kane. As Major Kane spoke of, our public service partners are very important to us as we work on this Move Over Law. Today we are joined by Executive Director Dr. Katera Williams with the Highway Safety Commission. Please welcome her.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you all so much for being here. I am the Executive Director, the new Executive Director of the Louisiana Highway Safety Commission, and we administer the Governor's Highway Safety Program. Our number one goal is to reduce crashes and fatalities in order to keep Louisianians safe. We believe that this law is essential to the safety of our citizens and our state. As we approach the holiday season, as well as we just always want citizens to be mindful of doing the right thing, making sure that they're buckling up, making sure that they're not drinking and driving, making sure that they're not texting and driving, and of course to remember to move over. Again, it's for not only the safety of our citizens, but for the betterment of our state. So again, thank you all for being here. We hope that you all have some big takeaways in terms of making sure that you're reminded about the Move Over Law, and of course, always support the work that we're doing here in Louisiana to keep everyone safe. Thank you.
Today we are also joined by Sterlington Police Chief Barry Bonner, who unfortunately knows far too well the need to adhere to this important law, as it has personally affected him and his department. Please give a warm welcome to Chief Bonner.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I was told that they wanted me to come here and be part of a press conference. And then on the way down here, they said, we just need you to tell your story. I said, oh, I'm going to tell the story. Now, I'm going to try to tell this story without crying. I'm going to be honest with you, it's tough. The early morning hours of July 3rd, probably about 3:45, I get a call from the sheriff's office, Ouachita Parish Sheriff's Office. And they said they need to see me out on 165 immediately, the sergeant. And I said, well, what's going on? He said, Chief, we just need you out here now. So I get my stuff on, I get in the unit, and I head out that way. As I'm coming around the curve there on 165, it seems like every police car in the nation is there. It's lit up. So I know something bad has happened. You know, running through my mind, I'm thinking, well, what's probably happened is one of my guys has been in an officer-involved shooting, and we know how prevalent that's been in the media today. And I just know, well, I'm fixing to go through a rigmarole right now, and I'm kind of getting mad at my officer for shooting his weapon without even knowing what's going on, and, you know, thinking, what am I going to say, and this and that and the other. And I get there, and there's a group of deputies standing, and I see my units over here, and there's ambulance and the sheriff's office, state police, and the deputies, they're all looking at me. And as I get out of my unit, they all put their heads down, and I hear one of them say, there he is. And they all kind of whittle away, except one sergeant. He's standing. He said, Chief, come here. I come over there, and he says, one of your officers has been killed. So I'm thinking, well, you know, kind of in shock right then. I'm thinking, well, maybe he was shot. He was shot. You know, where's the guy? What happened? You know, what's going on? He was hit by a vehicle. And I turned to walk over towards where my officer was, and he grabbed me by the shoulder. He says, no, he said, you don't need to go there. You don't need to go there. So he pulls me back. And as the day kind of went, the morning was going, they kind of lost track of me. So I did. I went up there. And Sergeant David Elahi was laying there, and he was obviously dead. Traumatic head injury. The thing was, he was kind of like my son. You know, we're a small department. We got 10 guys. And he started his law enforcement career, you know, with us. And he even told me one day, I was talking with him, he said he thinks of me like his dad. You know, I'm kind of the gray-haired old man of the group. And, you know, and a lot of them look up to you like that. But seeing him laying there, that was like my own son. And then to come to find out what happened was he was just talking to an individual they had pulled over. He had pulled him out of the vehicle, had him in the back, driving under suspension. He was getting him a ride. They were waiting on this person's ride to come pick him up. And he had him in the back of the unit, and he was just standing there, you know, with the doors open and talking to the individual, you know, just making conversation. Wasn't going to take him to jail. He was given the opportunity, just give him a citation and get him a ride home. And out of nowhere, vehicle going 60 miles an hour, didn't even slow down. Took him out and two of my other officers. They weren't killed, but they were injured. But took him out. The passenger of the vehicle was right there, and she wasn't injured at all. But his life ended right there because somebody didn't take the time or didn't have the courtesy to just move over. You know, in that move over law, it's just not for police. It's DOT, it's a fire, emergency, ambulance. But you know, it even goes further than that. It goes the truck driver changing a tire, the civilian changing a tire, the parent pulled over the side of the road because their kid's got to go to the bathroom on the side. We've all done that. It don't take but a second for a child to run in front of that vehicle. Whenever you see a vehicle on the side of the road, especially an emergency vehicle, have the courtesy to get over. And if you can't get over, slow down. Slow down to a very safe speed to where if something does happen, if that officer stumbles back into the lane of traffic or if he gets into a fight and he's pushed that way, you'll be going slow enough where you can control your speed and get out of the way and not hit that officer. Our lives was changed that day. But not only was our lives changed that day and Officer Elahi's family's lives, but the person who hit him, his life was changed forever. His family was changed forever. They lost a father that day. We lost a brother, son, father that day as well. Everybody loses. And this is a simple law. Simple. Just a second thought will save a life. and make sure these guys get home safe at night, and make sure we all get home safe at night, because you never know when that flat tire is going to happen or what. And it'd be nice to know that if we could get everybody in the nation to just keep that in mind, and that when we're on the side of the road on an emergency, that we're going to have people courteous of us and move over and let us do what we need to do. God bless you, and thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you for that sobering story, Chief. As it already has been poignantly highlighted today, safety must be a priority on our roadways. Fortunately, we are blessed with the governor who has made safety and transportation one of his main priorities. As many of you know, Governor Edwards created the Governor's Task Force on Infrastructure Investment Funding. Part of the focus for this task force is to consider safety in our infrastructure. Whether it be an additional shoulder or better road conditions, infrastructure improvements can increase safety. I am pleased and honored to welcome the governor of our great state today, Governor John Bel Edwards.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joshua, and thank all of you for being here. I especially want to thank Doug and Katera and Chief Bonner. You know, to underscore the importance of this press event, Chief Bonner doesn't come from right here in Baton Rouge. He's up in Ouachita Parish, and that's how important this is. And we thought that he had, among all of the folks in our state, the most compelling story to tell as to why the Move Over law is so important. And the reason this is especially timely is we're about to have Thanksgiving week, which is one of the most heavily traveled weeks in terms of the volume of motorists on our roads and highways. And so bringing this to the consciousness of our motorists now is particularly important. But as you just were told, it doesn't require a holiday for this to be an issue. So this is something we want motorists in Louisiana to understand and to follow every day, not just during the holidays. Move Over is not just a law. It's common sense. It's common courtesy. And it is not designed strictly for the benefit of the first responder or the DOTD worker or the stranded motorist. It's also for the safety of the motorist who needs to slow down and move over so that people don't get hurt or killed needlessly. It's unfortunate that state police, DOTD, and many other responding agencies have all lost members of their working families because drivers failed to pay attention and did not move over. As a son and family member of a long-time law enforcement family, I know firsthand what it means to have a loved one work on our roadways and return home. And I also know what it means to have a loved one not come home because a motorist failed to slow down and pull over. This is not a new problem. More than 50 years ago, my uncle Rudolph Miller, a state trooper, working an accident scene on Highway 51 north of Kentwood, was killed by a truck driver who did not slow down and move over. Now, it's a bigger problem today because we have that many more distractions for drivers. Cell phones, with all the calls, we have texting, all of that sort of stuff that's in our vehicles now that serve to distract our drivers. So it's more important than ever. Across the nation, more than 150 law enforcement officers have been killed since 1999 after being struck by vehicles on America's highways. So let's all take the Move Over law more seriously and make everyone understand that this is not just for law enforcement. The goal of this week's campaign and the reason we are all here today is to help drivers understand the dangers responders face when working on our roadways, but also other motorists, and also understanding the danger posed to themselves when they fail to follow the requirements of this law. And it is undeniable that in today's world of distracting devices such as cell phones and global positioning systems, anybody who's not paying attention could put someone's life at risk. It only takes a few seconds when you're distracted to make sure or to actually have one of these accidents. So everyone should stay extra alert and move over whenever you see an emergency vehicle with yellow, red, or blue blinking lights stopped on Louisiana's roadways, or any motorist who stopped on the side of a roadway. And I'd like to remind you that drivers who fail to reduce their speed and move over for stopped emergency vehicles could face a fine or worse. Failure to move over could result in serious injury or death. Remember, when you encounter a roadside incident, move over and slow down. It's the law. It's the right thing to do. And let's all be lifesavers and make sure that we slow down and move over. Again, thank you very much for being here. This is incredibly important. And I hope the importance is underscored by the folks who are here behind me and by all of you here covering this press event. And let's get the word out across the state of Louisiana. We can do better. We have to do better. Thank you very much.
Where can people get more information?
They can view our website, Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development. They also can view the Highway Safety Commission website as well to get more information on the law.
And is there anything else that you'd like to add? Anything you'd like people to remember?
Yes, we just want to encourage people to move over and make sure that they're safe during this upcoming holiday season and make sure that everyone returns home safely, whether it be motorists or the emergency personnel.